Here at home, it was a political showdown that could have forced Ontarians to the polls this summer, but a move by Ontario NDP leader Andrea Horvath likely avoided another provincial election. Horvath eased off on most of the changes she wanted to see from Dalton McGuinty's Liberal budget. Instead of 13 big changes, she says she'll settle for 4. Her latest offer would stave off a mid-July election.
My caucus and I never abdicated our role in consulting Ontarians on making amendments or on improving this budget. I'm looking forward to working with this more collaborative version of Mr. McGuinty this week. I'm hoping that today we avoided an election, and in the coming months I will be working with Liberals and Conservatives to focus on what matters: creating jobs, improving healthcare, and making life more affordable.
Adrienne Batra joins us now live in studio. She's the comment editor for the Toronto Sun, and we need you to help us understand what is going on. It seems to be a bit of a back and forth, and she sort of seems to be backtracking a little bit.
Right. So we have, earlier this weekend, we saw Dalton McGuinty say, look, we want you, NDP, to put your commitment in writing, which, look, the irony on that wasn't lost on me. I mean, how many people in Ontario know who've seen their taxes go up with the Premier asking for something in writing? So she had provided him with a letter, but here's the bone of contention still. She has 4 issues. The NDP has 4 issues of the 13 that they were fussed about in terms of the budget. She's not giving up on those ones. Those are very near and dear to the NDP's heart. They have to do with collective bargaining rights and all the arbitration issues that are coming forward in the province of Ontario. She doesn't want to be seen as capitulating to McGuinty. So come forward, she brings her statement. She has said what she just said. You just played the clip.
Right.
And so you see her dialing it back. But then we have the finance minister, Dwight Duncan.
Comes out right after her speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. And says Horvath confirmed she has no intention of keeping her word. So then my question is, are Ontarians possibly heading back to the polls?
Well, I think it's still a possibility.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
It is very confusing because you have McGuinty trying to play nice, being good cop, and then you have Duncan playing bad cop. So, I mean, it's a bit confusing in terms of the messaging that's coming out from the Premier's office. But look, Duncan's always a bit of a scrapper. He doesn't mind getting down and dirty and getting into the dirt and fighting a bit. But besides, it's his budget, you know. I mean, it's his department that crafted it. But I think that they really, right now, none of the 3 parties, of the 3 major parties, really are in a good position to have a provincial election. There's really, some may say there's an appetite for it with the fight that's going on with the doctors, the fight that's going on with the teachers. There might be a certain faction that want to go to the polls, but it might not necessarily make any sort of change in the province of Ontario.
And really, each party stands to lose quite a bit if we do have an election ahead of us.
Of course they do. The NDP didn't have the big orange crush that we saw during the federal election, so they have a lot at stake. They also have, like in terms of the Conservatives, Hudak has ostensibly been silent in all this, and that's good and bad in a way. I mean, he's sort of stood by and watched this unholy alliance between the Liberals and the NDP fall apart, and he doesn't also want to be blamed if an election is triggered. So better to stay away. The flip side to that is a lot of Ontarians could look at that and say, you weren't involved in the conversations. You weren't involved when the province was on the electoral brink, and you weren't there. So, and then as far as the Liberals go, they're focused like a laser on Kitchener-Waterloo. There's a by-election coming there. So I think realistically, all 3 parties are going to focus on the Kitchener-Waterloo as opposed to a general election. And I know they always like to talk about how their election readiness is always at optimal level.
But you're not convinced.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Adrienne, always good to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you.
Adrienne Batra is the Toronto Sun's comment editor joining us today.